The film begins with a scene in a car dealership in Buffalo. The salesman of the month, Dan Morgan, once again successfully closes a car sale with a client. After finishing his work shift, Dan, having bought a bouquet of flowers on the way, rushes to celebrate his wedding anniversary with his wife, a physiotherapist named Jessica. They have a tradition of going on roller coasters on this day. They have 3 children, a high school newspaper editor named Nina, a computer game shooter enthusiast named Kyle, and a toddler, Max. Jessica meets a girl named Gwen, who works as a travel agent at a training session. Jessica shares with her new friend that her husband is home-loving and family-oriented, but she longs for travel. Gwen gives her business card. Taking Max with him, Dan goes to the supermarket. There, an unknown assailant attacks him. Dan, keeping his son, who is strapped to him, safe, demonstrates extraordinary combat skills and fends off the attacker. It turns out that after the death of his mother, Dan was raised by a cruel father. After serving in the army, Dan was recruited to work as a mercenary by a former Special Forces soldier named McCaffrey. Once, Dan went against him and fought his way out of the organization, but since then, he has been pursued. The man discovers that the passports of his family members are expired. He calls his acquaintance Augie, asking him to make new ones and hand them over in Las Vegas. Dan plans to take his family, who are unaware of his dark past, abroad. After finding Nina and Kyle, he heads to Jessica's workplace, announcing that they are going on a trip to Las Vegas. Noticing mercenaries following them, the man realizes that a bug is attached to his car. Driving to his workplace, Dan finds this tracking device and discreetly attaches it to his colleague's car. To avoid being tracked, the man takes the family's gadgets and throws them into the water. He justifies his action with the desire to spend the vacation without social networks, to become closer to each other. Dan buys a paper map to plan their route. Meanwhile, bandits who have infiltrated his home track that he isn't using his cards, presumably paying in cash. A second group of criminals on a bridge crossing discovers Dan's car. They start pursuing him on motorcycles. Turning the music up in the headphones of his sleeping relatives, the former professional mercenary skillfully deals with all the pursuers. Driving all night, Dan takes his family to Iowa. He agrees to go on a college tour, the college Nina dreams of attending. Seeing pole vaulters at the stadium, Jessica happily reminisces about her high school athletic past. In one of the lecture rooms, another mercenary unexpectedly attacks Dan. He manages to fend him off, even doing so without any of the tour participants, including his family, noticing. During lunch at a diner, Dan calls Augie from someone else's phone to confirm the address of their meeting to hand over passports and tickets. In the evening, he finally brings his family to one of the luxury hotels in Las Vegas. Receiving tickets to Vancouver for a morning flight, Dan invites Jessica to dinner, during which he intends to tell her the whole truth about himself and reveal his plan. He asks the children not to leave the room, but they still go out, as Kyle has always dreamed of visiting the local cyber arena. The children are unaware that one of McCaffrey's mercenaries is following them. Dan calls the room to check on the children, but no one answers. Without revealing anything about his past to his wife, the worried family man goes up to their room with her. There, they are attacked by mercenaries, 2 of whom Dan manages to eliminate, not without difficulty. The third one uses Jessica as a shield. Only using combat cunning and trickery, Dan deals with him. Hearing from one of the bandits that their children are being watched at the cyber arena, Dan and Jessica rush to find them. The parents find Kyle, Nina, and Max. Dan tells them they need to run, as his former colleagues are threatening them. An assassin attacks the family. Dan distracts her using a trick with a car. Then, employing a trap under a gaming table, he manages to eliminate her. In a relatively safe place, Dan tells his loved ones about his life before he met Jessica. His wife wants to take their shocked children far away from him, rightly believing that it's dangerous to be with Dan. After spending the night in a motel, Jessica contacts Gwen and then leaves with the children. At the airport, they are greeted by Gwen, who says she flew with a layover and thought she could pick them up. It turns out to be a trap. Gwen works for McCaffrey, and she is Dan's ex. The gangster calls Dan and arranges a meeting, showing him his family now under his control. Dan arrives at the specified place. It turns out that McCaffrey is his father, who wants to bring his talented son back to work in the family business. To have his family released, Dan agrees to his terms. In the elevator, Jessica attacks and eliminates a gang member accompanying them. She and the children unanimously refuse to abandon their family head. Meanwhile, Dan temporarily paralyzes his ex using a special technique. He orders the tying up of the enemy hacker, takes his communication earpiece and drone control, which he passes to Kyle. Knowing they will be pursued, he sends his family to the rooftop. Father and son work as a team. Kyle informs Dan about the location of the gangsters and where it's safer to turn or hide. Dan, as in the old days, eliminates the mercenaries one by one. Meanwhile, Gwen, who has regained consciousness, starts pursuing Jessica and her children. Naturally, the professional assassin has a significant advantage. However, Jessica uses a broken bamboo support, initially meant for climbing, to defeat her. Nina distracts her grandfather, allowing her father to knock him out. Then, with the help of the article she wrote, McCaffrey's secret militarized group is arrested. Half a year later, Dan establishes a security firm in Buffalo, and Jessica teaches sports to school children. Their family is gathering for another journey. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel to not miss out on new videos. Thanks for watching.